Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business talk show with your host, Ryan McNeice. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well-Dressed Walrus. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to the show. I'm Ryan McNeice. We're here on Business Talks with Curt Stockwell of Well-Dressed Walrus. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a little fun with this. We're going to make this a recurring show. Curt has his own podcast called The Human Side of Marketing, and there are many elements to that, which we will discuss today or start getting into. But then we'll have you back in the studio on a regular basis to be able to unpack the elements of this very diverse concept in business. So, Curt, thanks again for being here. Why don't you start us off and tell us how the podcast in and of itself came to be?
Well, I think that when I say this next statement, most people really kind of feel it in their bones. Most companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing that just doesn't work. We are in a really amazing time in history when it comes to being able to market your product. It's never been easier to market your product. There's more ways to market your product than there ever has been in the past, and it's easy to get a message to your customers or to your potential customers. I mean, we all have computers in our pockets called smartphones, right, that we can draft something and put it up on social media and connect with people all over the world. But because it's so easy to do marketing these days, marketing has become extremely noisy.
So whether it is a message and easy to get a message, it might not be the right message.
And so businesses, I think, are following a trend of just doing what they think will work because it's following a system or it's following a subscription, or they're throwing money at marketing, but they're not taking the time to find clarity in their marketing. And I think that most marketing that is done these days by businesses large and small is a waste of money.
Well, and I think you're right. It probably does make folks shiver because they probably look at their overall marketing budget and think we're spending X as a proportion of our overall revenues, but is it effective?
Right.
And can it be more effective for those same dollars?
Right. So thus the name, The Human Side of Marketing. I think what's so important right now is people are desperate for clarity, and they're desperate for that marketing message to connect with people in a deeper level. I always like to say, if you can connect with the soul of your customer, then you will not only have someone who will likely become a recurring customer, but they'll become a raving fan for your product, because when they understand the problem that you solve for them, and they understand how your product fits into their life, then they become a bullhorn for your product. Because when you can connect with people in a way that is clearly solving a problem, and people understand what that is, they will buy, and they will continue to buy, and they'll tell people about you. I mean, that's the best kind of marketing, is peer-to-peer marketing. The number one type of marketing that can be done for your business is peer-to-peer, right? People telling you got to try this product.
Right, the referral process.
The referral process, and that only comes when people clearly understand how the product
and
works
wouldn't
in
you
their life.
agree, and some of the comments I think that we're even saying, someone might say, well, of course. But if you drill down on some of those points, when you say clear marketing or solving somebody else's problem, I think what I've heard historically is what people think, they know their own business, and so the verbiage that ends up on the website or the brochure or what have you, that message is said in a way, text-wise, verbiage-wise, that they understand.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily tell the client what problem they're solving.
Right.
So dissect that a little bit, because I know we've spoken in the past, and you've done a good job of unpacking that concept of the message of solving your client's problem, not your problem necessarily. What's the client's problem that you're solving?
Right. So we think that the power of story is so important in marketing. And I want to kind of unpack what that means. Story is not your story. And this is where most marketing and most businesses, large and small, get it wrong, is they're trying to tell their story.
Their bio, their background.
Right. The reality is, I don't care about your story. I care about how your
You
product...
care about mine.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
We're friends. We're friends, so yes, I do care about your story. But ultimately, people care about how your product fits into their story.
Mm-hmm.
So when I use the word story, I'm talking about how does your product fit into your customer's story. So there's a narrative there that you need to take the time to understand if you're a business owner, or you've got a side hustle, or you've got whatever kind of marketing you're trying to do for your nonprofit. There's a story, and you need to understand, one, who's your character, what problem do they have, how are you involved in that process as a guide rather than making yourself the character or yourself the hero. When you can become a guide to someone as they are experiencing your product, and you have empathy for the problem that they're dealing with, maybe the problem that you think that they have is it's not really why they're buying your product. Businesses sell products based upon external problems, and people buy products based upon internal problems or internal solutions. Businesses are trying to solve an external problem, and people buy products and services to solve an internal problem. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a lawn company, and you mow lawns and you fertilize and you make people's lawns look great. And you are really excited about some new product that's going to make your lawn the greenest it's ever been, and you're going to talk about the nitrogen and phosphorus. And I had a background in landscaping, so I know kind of some of these nerdy things, right? And so you're excited about this product because of what it's going to do to green up the lawn, and your marketing is very focused on these technical things. Okay, so the external problem is that you want a green lawn, right? Internally, I want my lawn green because it's brown right now and it's full of weeds and full of pests and whatnot. And at the end of the summer, my boss is coming over for a company barbecue at my house, and I don't want to look like the scourge of the neighborhood.
Make it green.
I want a lawn green. So you're selling a green lawn. I'm wanting to buy pride in my home.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely does, and I think I would relate it to my background in the law. You could bore somebody silly over talking about the nuances or the intellectual gymnastics about legal theories on a particular case or particular topic, but at the end of the day, what you're describing is the client isn't interested in that per se. What they're interested in is, does that knowledge parlay into solving my problem?
Right.
And I think you've mentioned in past conversations, and I think you're spot on, that one of the difficulties, I think, at Well Dressed Walrus is you're handling logos, you're handling web design, you have the team that does a great job in all those respective areas. But is it not the difficulty of reaching out to the client and having them figure out how to tell their own story? Because you really can't tell their story for them. Right. You can maybe give them a framework for ascertaining what that is. But do you find that being the difficult part?
Yeah. So Well Dressed Walrus has kind of been going through a maturation process over the last year and a half, and because we're friends, you've seen us go through this. Prior to about a year and a half ago, we were producing digital products, digital marketing websites, and other online, offline resources and website hosting and things like that. We did provide some content writing for our customers and did the best we could with what we were able to produce. But it always kind of bothered me that we were not able to really help a customer extract the words that are really going to sell those products. There's a quote that says, people buy products only after they read the words that make them want to buy those products. Most marketing agencies, such as web developers or even graphic designers producing print material, they're designers or they're developers, they're not marketers. They're not good at actually creating the words that sell the products. Now, if you think about words and why they're important, one of the websites that probably everybody listening has been to in the last week is Amazon. Amazon, we all go to Amazon. We either buy products or look for products. And Amazon is not the most amazingly designed, sexy website on the internet, but it's very useful because the words that you need to understand that product are there.
Yep.
And they're there in a way that is easy to consume. It's descriptions, it's photos, it's technical mumbo jumbo that's kind of more towards the bottom of the page. It's testimonials, it's ratings on, what did I think of this product? Did I like it? Did I not like it? All of those words at the end of the day are the thing that actually sells the product.
But can I find my book?
Right.
Can I find my auto parts?
Right, exactly. And
yes.
So they make it easy to buy, but they also do a good job of making it easy to understand what it is and why does it fit into my story. So what we really dedicated ourselves to over the last probably year and a half is understanding how to create the words that sell your product. Now, what we do is we go in, just recently have provided this service where we're going into businesses, and sometimes we're not even producing that final product. They have the team members who can actually produce the website or the marketing material. We're going in and helping find clarity in their words, because many times businesses live about 2 inches away from their business. I mean, it's right here.
Yep.
And so
can't see the forest for the trees.
Right. You can't really see what your customer is experiencing about your product because it's so close. So when we go in, we try to really take a human approach and go, why are people interested in your product and what problem is it solving in their life? And it's funny how many times people start rabbit trailing down what they think is important. And what's nice about us being kind of a third party coming in, and a lot of times I'll even do this, I'll come into that meeting completely ignorant of what the company does. And
Which is probably an advantage.
I'll get the feedback of, so you've probably read our website, you read this, done this. Actually, no, I haven't. And the reason why I haven't is because there's a thing called the curse of knowledge. You all in here have the curse of knowledge. If I'm coming in here with the curse of knowledge as well, we're going to be missing the things that are very evident to us in the room, but are very complex and hard to understand to those outside of the room. So what we want to do is understand, what problem are you solving? Where does that hit your customer on an emotional level? And how can we make your interaction with them more human? Because it is a noisy marketplace. People are checking. I think most of the time when you're just throwing marketing out into the web or out into your marketplace, a lot of people have the mentality of checking a box. I just want to check the box of marketing.
Yeah, do I have a website?
Check. Yep. Trifold brochure, check. Blog post, check. And they're not really taking the time to do the hard work. The hard work is not all of, I'm convinced that that's not the hard work. I'm convinced the hard work is understanding what are the words that sell your product and what are the words that sell that help people understand what you do.
Well, and I think the psychology to that, and we'll take a short break and come right back to this, but is this idea of, as you said, coming in almost with a veil of ignorance, that concept of you don't know before you have that meeting, is how are you being perceived from the outside, not the inside. The inside, you can all tell yourself you're drinking the same Kool-Aid, but from the outside, how is that respective business being perceived, and then take it from there. Let's take a short break and come right back with Curt Stockwell of Well-Dressed Walrus. But we're talking about the human side of marketing, and this is going to be an ongoing series between myself and Curt. We'll come right back after the break. Thank you.
They say it takes a community to raise a family. It also takes one to build a business. I came to Spokane 12 years ago as a Whitworth student, and I planned to leave after graduation. But the more I got to know this community, the more I wanted to become a part of it. My husband and I have built our business in Spokane, and now we're raising our family here too. We operate a consulting company that provides creative business development strategies. Our approach is holistic and dependent on intentional connections and relationships. And no one understands connections and relationships better than GSI. They direct momentum towards investments in our community, provide resources that help business leaders connect, and they're dedicated and passionate about making Spokane great. GSI gives me the confidence to build my business here because they believe every organization, even a small one like mine, adds big value to our community. With GSI's help, Spokane will be a place my son will want to build his career too. I'm Eva Marquette, owner of Freshview. We're creating something greater with Greater Spokane Incorporated.
Hi, this is Curt Stockwell with Well-Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice. We're here in the studio with Curt Stockwell. Well-Dressed Walrus is your business, owner of that business with Andy Dentone.
That's right.
Another extremely interesting individual. You guys are the consummate yin and yang of this business. We
definitely are two different people, that's for sure.
And I'm throwing that out as a compliment. We can go any direction with that, but no, as a compliment, because in many different businesses, there can be it can be problematic to have two individuals that are too much the same.
Yeah.
But in your case, you both are actually bringing substantial knowledge in slightly different areas of this trade. Yeah,
we kind of have funny titles. I'm the director of Colors and Shapes, and Andy's the director of Ones and Zeros.
Well,
and so what I found when I got into web development was I can make this website look really nice, but it is not well built.
Well, there
and
is.
Andy, on the other hand, he makes websites are really are solid and strong, and the back end data and all those ones and zeros are solid, but it's just boring.
Well, but Curt, that ties into exactly what we're talking about, that the human side of marketing.
Right.
That's your podcast. That's the name of the series we're going to do here on Business Talks with you, the human side of marketing. And what we've been talking about in the first half is identifying what the actual customer's problem is.
Right.
So you can talk about all these elements from X's and O's, colors, et cetera, building that website. But then when you talk about that infrastructure of what's going into that or the message, oftentimes the client actually doesn't quite know that because that's not what they do. They're good at some other trade.
Right.
But I think that's the trick of the trade, so to speak, that you are bringing to the table is trying to identify what that story is and breaking through the noise, if you will, in marketing online and creating that clarity.
Right. So people often ask me, what's the difference between marketing and branding?
That's a great question, actually.
And I like to say that marketing is simply getting people to memorize your message, and branding is the emotion they feel when they repeat it.
Not to put you on the spot, but can we put some context to that? Maybe a couple popular brands out there where you'd say the marketing piece is illustrated versus the branding.
So I always tell people that if you want to be clever in your marketing, you have to have a lot of money. If you don't sacrifice...
Is that Geico?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Geico has a ton of money, so they can...
Funny all the time.
Right. Funny all the time, but you know what their message is. You know, save money on your insurance. And they've done a really good job of putting out the funny, but you know how to repeat their message. Now, I always tell people don't sacrifice clarity for being clever. So if you're starting anywhere in your marketing, you want to start with clarity. You can get to clever eventually, but you need to start with clarity. And I guarantee you, Geico many years ago, when they were first doing their ads or when they were first coming out with their crazy campaigns, they were dedicated to a portion of it had to be very clear.
They were working on the clarity, then came back the other way.
Yeah, and so you can be clever in your marketing, but you can't sacrifice clarity. You've got to make sure. And now when I say that you can be clever if you have a bunch of money, is because if you're going to be clever, your message has to be out there all over the place. Because when people don't understand what the message is, and there's some sort of kind of hidden clever nuance in there, they need to consume it over and over and over and eventually go, oh, I get it.
Well, and I think most business owners would say this. I would definitely say this, that sometimes you're surprised at people that you know really well that actually don't know exactly maybe the nuance of what you do.
Right.
And I think any business owner should take heed to that interesting. If that individual that's as close to you doesn't know that you do this or that, clearly there's a message clarity issue, because that person should be, if it's somebody that knows you, trusts you, likes you, is somebody that is a referral source. So your message better be clear to that person, because if it's not clear to that person, it is certainly not going to be clear to an unknown individual that you're being reached through your marketing.
So I was just brought in to do some consulting with a local business, and they were working with a branding agency at the same time they're working with me. And what was a really neat experience is the branding agency was coming up with really cool looking logos and kind of taglines and things. But the one thing that they said was the tagline's just not right, and I'm like, that's because they are designers. They're not marketers.
They have the visual appeal,
they have the visual
look of the
appeal,
logo.
so they're doing a great job with the visual appeal. But as we had our first 90-minute, we offer 90-minute sessions, 3 90-minute sessions to come and bring clarity to your marketing, whether we create digital assets or not.
More the consultation.
Yeah, the consultation. So in this first 90-minute session, we came up with a killer tagline because it brought such clarity that the marketing agency or the branding agency would not have been able to come up with that because they're not taking the time.
Right.
And not that they should. It's two different things.
No, I agree.
Branding and marketing are two different things. Focus on your marketing first. Get clarity in your message first, and then worry about all of the branding piece of it.
Well, I've been complimentary over the years with actually the name Well-Dressed Walrus. We kind of joked actually before the show. I had somebody ask me about Well-Dressed Walrus, and they said, "Oh, they must do your wardrobe for the show." And I said, "Maybe they should."
Yeah, right.
I could
Plus
improve.
size men's clothing.
Yeah,
we get that. People asking us about that.
I could potentially improve on wardrobe, I suppose.
Maybe.
But Well-Dressed Walrus. The point being, that name elicits a question, elicits further
What do you do?
inquiry.
Yeah, right. And so that's
name.
one of the reasons why we came up with such a weird name is we wanted people to go, well, what do you do? Because like integrity web design or like,
it's kind of a throwaway.
Yeah.
Not to criticize any particular name.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
But, look at the word Google.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
What does that even mean?
yeah.
Right. So what we had to really do is focus on what is our message, and how do we help people find clarity in their marketing. And so we like to say that we help customers find clarity in their marketing so their customers will listen. That passion for us has come through that marketing piece of it, but then we're able to deliver all of the digital assets as well. So it kind of creates a full picture for us.
Well, you indicated earlier that Well-Dressed Walrus, in and of itself, as a corporation, has gone through a maturation period, and like any business, learning curves. We all go through that. Hopefully, we learn from our challenges, our successes, etc. Where do you see in this industry? Where do you see some of the challenges, and also where do you see some of the opportunities?
I see some of the challenges, like I mentioned before, is that it's never been easier to do marketing. Thus,
resources are available to many people.
Thus, it's never been harder to do good marketing. When you can, our whole goal that we try to help people with when it comes to their marketing messaging is we always like to say we're going to help you rise above the noise. When you can rise above the noise in a noisy marketplace, people start to pay attention to your brand. And to because they can, and like I said, if people can understand your marketing, they will repeat it. And when they repeat it, then that's your brand that's eliciting emotion. Now, some brands have elicit bad emotion. If you've got a product that's known to be, a poor experience. Right. So that marketing messaging that you've been pushing out there about how great the brand is, if it's a poor experience every time somebody's interacting with that product, every time they see that logo, they're going to think ill.
It could be the
brand.
visual, the jingle, auditory. It could be like, oh.
Yeah, so it's never been easier to do marketing, but it's never been harder to do marketing because there is so much marketing out there.
And you make a good point, because I think in any business you could be concerned with, well, there's another fill in the blank. There's another web design company. There's another law office, another plumber, another electrician, et cetera. Well, the reality is you're in a competitive market, but if you, as you've been indicating today, the goal is to rise above the noise.
Seth Godin is a well-known marketing guru. And if you don't know Seth Godin, go check out things that he's done.
Absolutely.
And he's got a new book.
One of the best.
Yeah, one of the best. One of the godfathers of the new surge of marketing that should connect with people into deeper
permission
level.
Marketing, psychology, connecting and engaging versus just
throwing it out there.
Yeah,
coffee is for closers kind of a mentality. You're going to go out and sell this product if it until it kills you, and so that's been kind of the old mentality, and the new mentality is connecting with people at a deeper level. And so Seth Godin talks about this aspect of magic in marketing, and for years I heard that term or that idea of magic in marketing, and I never really understood what it meant until recently. And the magic is when people understand your marketing and they feel good about your brand. That's that magic piece. When you get people talking about what you do, and your peer-to-peer marketing is stuff that you have no control over, honestly.
That's that word of mouth, and people are free to...
Yeah, when that word of mouth is working for your business, that is the magic.
And isn't there the quote out there, I'm butchering it to a certain degree, but something to the effect of, you will always forget potentially what people said, but you'll never forget how they made you feel.
Exactly.
Well, I think the same is true for a brand. You might forget this particular ad or this particular sequence, but you're not going to forget how that brand or that experience made you feel.
Right, because again, marketing is all about solving somebody's problem.
Right.
Or your product is all about solving somebody's problem. So your product might literally be solving somebody's problem, maybe related to health, or a genuine thing that we would see as a quote-unquote problem. But maybe your product is solving the problem of, we don't know what to do tonight as a family for fun.
Yep.
That still falls into the category of problem.
Absolutely.
And so everything that you do, every business, every nonprofit, everybody out there who are in sales, which everybody, if whoever's listening to this, you should raise your hand when I ask the question is, are you in sales? We're all in sales. We're all selling something, whether it's our time or a product or a subscription or something. That is solving. I keep going back. That's solving a problem. Problems can be broken down into three levels. There's the external, the internal, and the philosophical. The external is that green grass. The internal is, I want to feel pride when somebody drives up to my house and sees my lawn and my home. And that philosophical is, I deserve to work with somebody who understands that and takes care of me
and respects me as a
client.
And
so when we take a customer through that path of recognizing the character that they're talking to and what their external, internal, and philosophical problem is, that's where you start. That's kind of the magic hat and all of those pieces.
That's where those variables come together.
That's where those variables come in, and you start to see these things in your marketing that are going to give you, this is important, they're going to give you the desire to keep connecting with your customers in a way that connects with them on a deeper level.
And I would even kind of describe that you are describing an alchemy of many, many variables that are complex that come together to create that clear message.
Right.
We're out of time for today, but again, we've been here with Curt Stockwell, Well-Dressed Walrus, but his own podcast, The Human Side of Marketing. We'll be back with Curt here in the studio probably a couple weeks out. So on SpokaneTalksMedia.com, there'll be a series about the human side of marketing to look at that alchemy of the variables that'll lead to a clear message in your marketing and branding. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well-Dressed Walrus. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.